After my last video on Huawei, of course, I had some troll come into the comments and say that I am spreading Chinese propaganda. Now, I always find that absolutely hilarious, and I will tell you why. But first, I want to welcome you to Ruben Tech, where we talk about the intersection of tech, politics, and finance. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. But now let's get into it. First of all, as you may or may not know, I'm not Chinese. I don't speak any Chinese. I have done business over in in China. I have friends who are Chinese. However, I don't know any government officials or any, high-ranking dignitaries or anything like that. So I don't know how I would have any propaganda to spread. The simple fact is that as I become an adult, I've realized that on national issues, the media is here to divide Americans. Okay, so you have your left-wing media and your right-wing media, and they're basically here so that we war with each other. But when it comes to global affairs, we only have one media. They basically all carry the same storylines in America. And that media has the same goal, which is basically to tell us up is down and down is up. And so, to give you an example of that, this morning I read that China is going through some economic pain right now. It's basically, according to Reuters and the CNBC, they're facing a lot, a looming disaster economically. And they even include the numbers to prove it. But then you look at the numbers and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. And it's hilarious because it just follows with the whole Epstein thing, where it's like they just tell us to, they'll show us stuff, right? Hey, here it is. Look at it with your own eyes, but don't believe it. Like literally, they're seeing how far they can push the American people with their control of our minds. So in the articles, they even have, the economic numbers there, right? And so China was predicted to have, is expected to have 5.1% GDP growth at 5.2%, which might sound like a positive thing, but yet all the articles were very negative. They're talking about a slowdown and how it came from 5.4 to 5.2 from the previous quarter. But keep in mind that America, in our Q4 2024, we were at 2.5% economic growth, 2.5% growth in GDP. And we went down to Q1 2025 of 2.0%. We had a 0.5% drop. And it was the first contraction in GDP growth in 3 years. Okay? And it's nowhere near 5%. And yet we didn't have the same doom and gloom articles coming out. And it's just nuts because it's like they give you the figures, they give you the truth in some sense, the raw facts there, but they just tell you a different story. They write a different narrative. And it's exactly how 1984 is. I forgot what Orwell said, but he basically said something like, when the party told you, don't believe your eyes, believe what the party says. And that's what the media does in America. Right? So everything that's on global affairs, I've learned that basically if when you're reading the Western media, if it says up, the answer is really down. Okay? And it's not all the time, but it's just basically how it is. Like all this anti-China propaganda that comes out of the West, saying that their economy is struggling and they're having a lot of problems when it's like, okay, wait a second. They're basically the same size as us. You could even say that they are the same size of us. As I went through on this channel, America uses a lot of fluff in its GDP number. So remember, GDP is supposed to measure the economic output of a country. And in America, we include things like lobbying in GDP. And so just think about this. What economic value to the world does lobbying have? Okay? Absolutely none. But we include line items like that. Why? Because we have to boost our GDP, make it look artificially as high as possible so that our massive debt doesn't look as bad as it is. Because remember that when it comes to debt, the actual debt number, right, it isn't the main thing. The main thing is the debt to GDP ratio. Okay? So as long as our GDP number is growing and looks big, right? As long as we can keep that debt to GDP somewhat manageable, we're not going to go over the financial edge. At least that's what they tell you as they're building this house of cards. Okay? But just keep in mind that, if we took the fluff out, America would even be closer to China. China would be right behind us as the number two economy in the world. As it is right now, they're still right behind us, but we have a lot of fluff in there. And they're growing at 5%, and we're growing at 2% as of the last quarter. Okay. And maybe we'll bump that up. They estimate, maybe I believe Q2, they're estimating 2.4%, which is still 2.8% lower than what China's growing at. Okay. But yeah, it's doom and gloom for China. You're talking about a country that increased its production by 6.8% last year. 6.8% last quarter. So that's year over year, right? Which is absolutely insane. With BRICS, with Europe, with ASEAN, they increased their trade, they increased their exports with all of those areas. The only place they were down was with America, obviously, because of the tariff situation. But with everywhere else, they're increasing their relationships. And so some people might say, but the consumer spending was down in China. And yeah, that is a little bit of a worry, and that's where they're going to have some economic stimulus come in. But let me tell you something. If China starts turning into a purchasing powerhouse, it's over for the U.S. They will have nothing left, literally, because that's all we do. We're just a purchasing nation. Okay, and remember that China actually has higher purchasing parity power than us. It's just that they don't have the same mindset of spend, spend, spend that America does. And that what they have over there is they actually have economic output that has real value. Remember that what America does is we export paper dollars, which cost us nothing. It's just fake money that we just print off the printing press, right? And there's a problem now because the world's starting to realize that, and that's why you see the 30-year treasuries continue to go up and up. And this is why Trump is panicking and is like, hey, we need to bring in somebody and just slash those interest rates down 3 points, 3 freaking points. Can you believe that? The guy's insane. Okay. What will that do? That will increase the great melt up even faster than what it is. But he doesn't care because they don't care about the American people. Okay. All they want us to do is obey, like the movie They Live. You ever seen that? Where the guy gets the sunglasses, Rowdy Rodney Piper, the WWF superstar. He does the movie, he gets the sunglasses, and the glasses show him the truth of the world around him, shows him who's actually in control. And so you have regular people that see people put sunglasses on. If they're regular people, they look the same. But some of the people are aliens, right? The elites, the power, the people who have all the power. And then when he looks at all the advertising around him, he can see the subliminal messaging from the party. Obey. It's all about control. And in this, they have this wonderful fight scene. It's the longest fight scene you'll see in a movie between two people. And the reason John Carpenter made it so long was Carpenter was trying to show how difficult it is to wake somebody up once they're brainwashed. But believe it or not, you can do it. And we're seeing it a little bit over here in America. We just saw New York Times finally write a piece that admitted what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. Okay? We're starting to finally see Western media. And the only reason they're doing this is because people are ignoring Western media and they're getting their media from other sources. And they're realizing, oh my God, look at what my money is being spent on. It's being spent on shooting at innocent women and children going to get food. Starving people going to get food. That is what my dollars are being spent on. A Holocaust. And it's undeniable because Israel is just drunk on power. They literally think they can do anything. And they're going so far that even the sheep of America are starting to wake up. And so the Western narrative now has to change a little bit and acknowledge what's going on, but start twisting it in some way. Okay? And then the other issue they have is the whole Epstein thing. Because Donald Trump was so boldly and blatantly stupid that he just thought, you know what? And I don't want to say the term on the channel, but the Jeffrey Epstein people and I, who run things, People don't care anymore. We can just do it out in the open. And people are like, no, this is too much. And their programming started resisting it. No, this is too much. I can't accept this. Now, of course, there's a lot of MAGA that were like, oh, that's fine. Jeffrey Epstein and Donald do that type of stuff. That's fine. We're programmed by you. We obey. But a lot of people are rejecting the programming. And now you're seeing people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen. They've been coming out and they're like, look at this. Look at these IDF puppets, okay, funded by Israel, who are voting against even having a vote to release the Epstein files. Look at this stuff that's happening where the lady says, the list is on my desk, and then she says, there is no list. Look at this where they say they have thousands of hours of tapes, and now they say there's no one to prosecute. I mean, it just so happens that Jeff used to hang out with Mossad agents, and we all know he was involved in blackmail of U.S. politicians. Why? For utter control. And we're finally seeing some Americans finally wake up to it. Okay? But it's not enough. Okay? We need more because the anti-China propaganda is still too nuts. I told you what happened with Hegseth when he went to the Shangri-La meeting. And right away, he just was telling everybody blatantly, America is an Indo-Pacific nation. What? What? And that there, he basically told all the nations there, China wasn't there that day, that they're going to have to choose at some time when we have a war with China, what side they want to be on. They can either be a proxy for us or they can be against us. It's basically what he said. I went through the whole thing on here. You can check my older videos. Think about that. You're going to the Shangri-La Summit, and that's what you're telling people. America's an Indo-Pacific nation. I mean, that is so insulting right there. Because we have Hawaii, we're an Indo-Pacific nation? I don't think so. And that you have to choose a side? Okay, consider this when you look at Beijing, who's like, hey, you know what? All we want is mutually beneficial trade with other countries, and we'll leave your sovereignty to you. Not America. We interfere with everybody. Look what just happened with Lula down in Brazil. Brazil is pursuing Bolsonaro, and Trump's like, oh, Bolsonaro's my buddy. If you do this, you're going to be in trouble. And Lula. President Lula was like, we don't want an emperor. The world does not want an emperor. And so then Trump lashes out and says, you're going to have 50% tariffs. And then Brazil says, fine, we're going to reciprocate that right back to you. And President Trump, because he's a freaking child and doesn't plan anything, didn't realize that Brazil is one of the few countries that America actually has a trade surplus with, i.e. we send more stuff over there than they send here. So it's going to hurt our farmers worse because Brazil is going to stop buying that stuff from us. This is the ridiculousness that's going on. And why does this happen? I believe right now, and I believe this 100%, I have seen nothing to the contrary to make me disbelieve this, that if you were to get President Xi Jinping and ask him, hook him up to like a truth machine where you had to tell the truth, that he would say that in an idyllic world, America and China would be mutually beneficial allies in trade and economic development. But I think if you took Western politicians and did that, they would not say that. You see, China is worried about its own sovereignty. It's not worried about being the king of the world, okay, like America is. And that's why I believe President Xi Jinping, there's nothing they have done. Look at the world. How many military bases does China have surrounding America? I'm going to give you an answer. It's less than one. It's none. How many do we have surrounding China? Hundreds. How many do we have surrounding Russia? Hundreds. Okay? Guess how many countries in Africa and South America that China goes into and influences elections, and when someone's elected, they go ahead and get that person out of power, or try to get them out of power. And if they can't get them out of power, they slap economic sanctions on it. I'm going to give you a wild hint. It's less than one. It's none. How many countries do we do that with in America? All of them, practically. Look at what just happened in Peru where they've had like 4 or 5 presidents over the last 6, 7 years. And now they have a puppet president in it. Okay, because every time the people of Peru actually elect somebody that the people of Peru want, the CIA is like, nope, we don't want that. We're going to go in and get rid of this guy. Corruption charges, he's corrupt. Oh, wow, this guy's never been corrupt in his life, and all of a sudden he's corrupt. Yep, that's it. Get him out of there. Okay? So it's absolutely nuts. And I think the problem is the Western way of thinking, right? Where everything's a zero-sum game. It can't be, hey, us and China and us and all these other countries can peacefully coexist and we can have mutually beneficial trade, which we know mathematically from game theory is the best solution to everything. No, instead is we are superior to you. Our ways are superior. Look no further than Alex Karp, a Palantir, who's like, we need to preserve Western dominance and we will kill everybody who doesn't agree with us and who threatens us. Now, mind you, he's a puppet of the military-industrial complex, which is making him very rich as his company trades at like, what, 300x PE ratio. And he thinks it's such a good thing. Him and Peter Thiel think it's a good thing to surveil every single American out there so none of us have any freedom left, right? It's just nuts, okay? So to my fellow Americans out there, if you're writing down there, you think I'm writing Chinese propaganda, I'm not. You need to put the glasses on. You need to see what's going on. You want to be America first? I'll tell you how you be America first. Let's worry about America. Let's stop, first of all, let's stop letting Israel control our entire government. Okay? Let's stop funding genocide. Let's stop funding a Holocaust. Second, let's let other nations, let's respect their sovereignty. Let them make the decisions they want to make. Okay? Let them have their own sovereignty and let's focus on America. For 50 years, we have followed a path where all we've done is we've shifted all the wealth to a handful of people. While China has taken the opposite path and they've lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. Why don't we try something similar to that? I'm really hoping that this Epstein thing, which came as no surprise to me, in a way, I'm just so shocked that people are shocked at this. But I think it's finally like Trump just went too far. And I'm hoping that this sticks with them. I'm hoping they keep their glasses on. Because some of them are like, wait, doesn't compute. I can't be for that no matter what. What he wants me to be for here, I can't. Right? And he, like I said, he went too far for some of them. Some of them are like, oh, yep, whatever. They can do whatever they want, doesn't matter, and we're okay with it. But some of them are like, no, I can't support this. And that's great because now they're opening their eyes to other things. And I think that's good because it leads me to believe there could be a time, hopefully, where we could truly be America first. In the sense of, hey, let's just take care of America. Let's build our infrastructure. Let's worry about the education of our people. Let's worry about the economic prosperity of our people. Oh, hey, we got China. We got the BRICS nations. Guess what? They don't want to be subjects to us. We'll just agree to do mutually beneficial trade with them and economic development with them, where both of us actually benefit, and instead of just us benefit and nobody else benefiting. And wow, we can watch as the world develops together. Wouldn't that be an amazing thing? Or is that just, is this Shangri-La that I'm speaking of? Okay, that's all I got for you guys today. You have a good one. Have a great weekend if I don't see you. Otherwise, if I do see you, maybe tomorrow, take care.